It's showtime.
I fucking knew it. I knew this movie would suck ass. But I still watched it. What's up guys, Django Fett here to do a different type of video. It's gonna be a review of The Mummy 2017. I'm not gonna be using the back setup as usual. This is more gonna go everywhere type of video. I recorded it once, didn't work out. It just was a jumbled mess. I have 2 pages of notes that I need to talk about when dealing with this movie, because it's just notes and notes I just took endlessly with this freaking movie. So if you didn't know about the movie, I think all of you should have known by now. And why am I doing this even in the first place is because this movie, I knew it was going to be a mess. I knew it would suck. But I did my Mummy series. I did reviews for Mummies 1, 2, and 3. And I said I would do a review for The Mummy 2017 whenever it came out on DVD or torrent or whatever. And I found a way and watched it. And man, I have to say, this movie is worse than The Mummy 3. You heard me correctly. This movie is worse than The Mummy 3. I can't believe I am saying that. While The Mummy 3 is a horrible, horrible movie with terrible characters, this one even takes the cake of that, but it doesn't have the most annoying character in the world like Alex in this movie. It does have a similar one like that, but not as bad as Alex. I will say that. And also, by the way, I am wearing an Arnold shirt. I'll be back t-shirt. This is actually my first ever Arnold Schwarzenegger t-shirt ever. I've always wanted one, never could find one. But when I went to Virginia Beach and took my vacation, I actually ended up finding this. I was like, I gotta have this. Gotta have this. All right. I'm more of a Predator fan myself, so I would have liked the Predator shirt. There was like Alien vs Predator, Alien, Predator shirts. They had a whole bunch of shirts, and they didn't have like him in that iconic pose in Predator, unfortunately. But anyway, with The Mummy, let me get my stuff right here. The Mummy 2017 is an action-adventure film directed by Alex Kurtzman, who has been involved with plenty of terrible movies, and written by David Cope, Christopher McQuarrie, and Dylan Kuzman, and produced by Alex Kurtzman, Chris Morgan, Sean Daniel, and Sarah Bradshaw. Now, hearing that right there, all of those names, that is a lot of names involved, screenwriting, producing, when it comes to this film. And when I saw this film, I saw a clash of tones and writers, it seems to me, with this movie. This movie is an absolute mess from beginning to end. There is hardly anything good about this movie whatsoever. And I'll get to the good at the very end, actually. I'm going to get to the bad first. But this movie is an absolute mess because of the conflicts with all of the writers and producers. Because it seems to me when watching this, they're all trying to do their own thing and not work together to make one cohesive film. It all seems like they're doing like all their own thing. And this film has like sequences, segments of the film that is just like dedicated to one thing and then completely different to another. Scenes to scenes that just don't work in this movie. So that's the major one that's bad. There's also many other reasons why this movie is bad. It's the terrible character development and the terrible characters in this movie. You would think in a movie with Tom Cruise, who is the selling point for this movie would be, would be competent. But it really isn't. Tom Cruise is mediocre in this movie. The girl Jenny, played by Annabelle, what's her name? Annabelle Wallace, who was in, what was that fucking show? It was that English show, Peaky Blinders. She was in that. She was good. This one, however, she is terrible in this movie. Her reactions in this movie are fucking gold. Because there is no emotion whatsoever when she does, like, when she's like, oh my god, I am so shocked. Like, she just shows nothing. She doesn't even commit. She ends up saying many famous quotes. I think one quote being, this is not a, what was it? This is not a tomb? This is, I forget what it was. It's something with a tomb. And the way she executed that was absolutely terrible. This is by far the worst movie I have seen this year. Is it worse than Alien Covenant? I don't really know. I think Alien Covenant is probably worse than that. See, I don't know. That's debatable right there. Also, there was this Johnson character. What's his name? Jake Johnson, who was in this movie. He plays the best friend to Tom Cruise, and he ends up dying from a spider bite, becomes this zombie or mummy, and he ends up dying. I'm pretty much gonna spoil everything. I don't give a shit at this point. He dies, and you think he'd be dead, wouldn't come back, but he does come back as the. How do I describe this? Yeah, this literally happens in the movie. He becomes, when Tom Cruise is suffering these visions and he goes to the bathroom and goes to other places, he sees Jake Johnson's character, who looks like a mummy, looks like undead, and he sees him in the mirror, and he's talking like a normal person. Jake Johnson, he's like, hey, you killed me, you gotta serve the mummy now. And it was like, what in the actual fuck is this? That was so incredibly dumb. And that happened throughout the entire movie. Throughout the entire movie. It was everywhere. His character was just bothering Tom Cruise's character throughout the film. I did not get the point of that at all. It just wanted to show that he was undergoing a downfall, Tom Cruise. But it was just like, nobody does this shit. Nobody thinks that's a good idea. Whoever thought that was a good idea, you're a fucking moron. You're a fucking moron. Alex was terrible in The Mummy 3, but this guy is probably on the same level, even if not worse or better in some ways, because he's not totally throughout the film, if you know what I mean, like Alex is. But he was bad. He was awful. There was no point to him coming back, becoming this mummy, and bothering Tom Cruise and being an asshole and fucking stupid. Dumb writing. Dumb writing. And then we have, what's his name? Russell Crowe, who is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He becomes Mr. Hyde later on in the film, and it's the funniest thing ever because when he gets into Mr. Hyde, he looks exactly the same, but his face is slightly blacker, and he's stronger, and he talks differently, of course. And there was like no change to him. Like, Russell Crowe, Dr. Jekyll, was trying to have this Avengers type of team, and it was just like, no, it doesn't work. Just the CGI in general, the Mummy and the Mercury. Oh my god, the Mercury in the beginning of the film, it looked fake as fuck. It looked terrible. This movie is also terrible. Its relation to Crusaders. Crusaders have to be in everything. Liberating from the barbaric tribes of the East, of course. Fuck off with that. Fuck that shit. Crusaders were evil sons of bitches that didn't give a shit about anybody but themselves. And they were attacking to massacre and brutalize a whole culture that people think they're fucking heroes is fucking asinine. And they have to be involved in fucking everything. And those were Cruise hallucinations I mentioned before with Johnson's character. And he's a mummy. And this ghost somehow knows everything that is going on. And I guess representing the mummy in ways, who's played by Sophia Boutella, who is goddamn sexy. And also Annabelle Wallis. She's fucking... Yeah, she's awesome too. She's great. She's probably the only slight positive with this movie. she does do some weird things in the movie. She like caresses over Tom Cruise's body quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot, like 1 or 2 times. And you know, she wants that juicy cruise meat. The Mummy 1 references, which are throughout this film, and are in it because, fuck it, they can't think of anything else creative. I mean, they mentioned the Book of the Dead, where Jenny used that book to hit a random dude, and that was supposed to, yeah, that was a dumb reference. I mean, this movie tried to copy the Mummy 1 in a lot of ways, with the mummy sand thing, you know, with the mouth, how the mummy sucked up the life force of people and they became mummies and she became stronger. Oh, so this is a big one. Why is this not set in Egypt? This movie is 10 minutes in Egypt. 10 minutes, that's it. The rest of it is in fucking Iraq, which has nothing to do with Egypt. Got no problem with that civilization, the Mesopotamians and all that, you know, Babylon and all that stuff. That's cool. But that has nothing to do with Egypt. And it's primarily in Egypt and Iraq. I'm just like, what happened to the great Egyptian culture and not talking about it? Mummy 1, Mummy 2 did it great. Did it fantastic with those movies. Especially the Mummy 1. This one doesn't even try. They don't even try. They don't even try. I think the only good part was probably the airplane sequence, which was kind of awful at the same time, because they were just like rolling around and it looked funny as shit. The airplane sequence was competent, sort of competent, and the action is the highlight of this movie. The action is fucking hilarious in this movie in a good bad way. And I have to say this about the whole movie. It's a good bad movie. It is so bad. It is so fucking bad. It's good at the same time. You will be laughing your ass off throughout the film of how dumb it is. The action is actually, you know, like there was one part where Tom Cruise, I think you've seen this in the trailer, he gets uppercutted, he flies in the air, falls down like a fucking, like a cartoon or something like that. And then all of a sudden, Jenny's like, "Get him, Tom, get him, kick her ass, kill her." Like, that just dialogue came out of fucking nowhere, and he tries to fight her, and it fails, miserably, of course. It's only until the end that he is able to be a match against the mummy. He's about to give the dagger to the girl, to the mummy, and she's gonna stab him. And Set's gonna come back into life or whatever, all this hokey dokey shit. There was no tension in that sequence whatsoever, because all of a sudden, he stabs himself out of fucking nowhere in order to get the power and kill her. There was no thought going along in his head. He just like, just let me kill myself. You know, he didn't even think about it. There was no tension. There's just, it fucking came out of nowhere. What would happen if you didn't come back? You're dead. Okay, you're done. Did you even think about that? There was no sequence where it led to that. It just fucking happened. It literally happened in the movie. He stabs himself in order to become powerful and kick the mummy's ass. Okay, alright, why not? Let's make up other shit. Let's have teddy bears in the mix and they become werebears and, you know, attack people and devour their flesh or something, okay? I'm just making shit out of my fucking head, alright? That's probably what happened in The Mummy 2. Who knows? Also, the next sequence after that is fucking hilarious because Jenny's practically dead. And he comes up to her and he tells Jenny, "Wake up!" And he turns like this like vampire. He has like this vampire face or something. And he's like, "Wake up, Jenny!" And she comes back to life. This movie is effing hilarious on how bad it is. It's effing hilarious. And also he becomes the next mummy. And there's your movie. I fucking love this movie, man. It's so fucking hilarious. Even though this movie's terrible and destroyed the franchise, even though it didn't, the budget was like 125 to 195 million. I don't know where they got all this movie. They must have spent it all on actors who couldn't act whatsoever to be in this movie and did terrible. I don't know where the budget went. I couldn't tell you. And the box office was apparently 400 million, which is ridiculous. Why did people go out and see this dog shit? Why? I think it's mostly from the foreign market as well. Goddamn foreigners. Don't worry, guys. Even though this movie sucked, the Bride of Frankenstein movie will save the franchise. Oh yes. This will be the Wonder Woman of the franchise. I can't even keep a straight face at this point because of how dumb that idea is. Bride of Frankenstein is the next movie in the monster franchise. Not Wolfman, not Frankenstein, not fucking Dracula. Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. Why not? Why don't we come up with Buttman next, okay? Buttman or Penis Boy or some other shit, okay? That's probably gonna be the next 2 other movies after this one, Bride of Frankenstein. This monster universe thing is so fucking dumb. It's probably the worst attempt at a universe I've ever seen. And it feels like another DC attempt where they did Batman versus Superman, and The Mummy is like the Batman versus Superman. Even if I would say it's better, Batman versus Superman. Batman versus Superman, there's like fucking nothing. This is like the Batman versus Superman of this franchise. The first attempt, which fucking came out of nowhere, is absolutely terrible. Nothing makes sense. And probably the future installments will be better. But still, that's not the way to produce a fucking universe. That's not how you do that shit, okay? Fucking asinine. This whole franchise thing, movie monster franchise, which they said they did it first, which is... did they really do it first? Did they really do it first? Did they even connect with one another, like, at any point? I thought they were all doing their own thing, because, like, it's not a universe if they're not, like, in it together and stuff. It doesn't make any sense. I would think Marvel and Star Wars and such would do it. With that being said, let's review. Let's rate The Mummy, okay? The Mummy 2017 gets...
A shameful display! A shameful display! A shameful display!
Take it for a grain of salt. I think it's the worst movie of the Mummy movies. This one has no dedication, no heart. There's no tension in this movie. There's no emotion in this movie. You don't care about anyone in this movie. The only funny thing that happens is the action and the segments that happen in the movie. It's so fucking funny that you just can't take it seriously at all. And you know they're trying to go for a serious route the whole time in this movie. I was floored with this movie. I was absolutely floored. Probably not so much with Alien Covenant because I expected a good movie and was severely disappointed from that. This one, it's just a terrible movie that is just so, you know it's terrible, and you just, you had a good time with that. I would recommend watching this with a couple of friends, getting extremely drunk, or not drunk, and having a pizza party or something, and laughing your ass off. Because that's exactly what you're going to do with this freaking movie. Alright, so with that being said, this was a very long video where I ranted and went off on this movie as a whole. So I'm just going to stop it right here. I think that's enough for me as it is. Let me know what you think of The Mummy if you've seen it in the comment section below. Don't forget to please like this video and subscribe to my channel Django Fett, and I'll see you, my fellow Mandalorian business sisters, next time. Ooh, yeah!